Welcome back to Never Enough Novels. It is time to pick a few books for my November TBR using my TBR jar. If you're unfamiliar with this concept, a TBR jar contains a list of prompts that you can use to help pick out your next read. It could be things relating to the title, the cover of a book, even the author, or books you haven't read yet. There's a wide variety of options for these TBR jars. If you want a list of 50 suggestions to put inside of your TBR jar, check out the link in my description below. This is my second time doing my TBR jar, so I still have most of these prompts in here. Today I'm gonna pick out 3. I also have my TBR cart ready to go, so this is filled with books that I'm hoping to read at some point. So my goal is to use this TBR jar to encourage me to read some of the books that have been on my TBR for a long time. So let's see what the first prompt is. Okay, the first TBR prompt is a book with a place in the title. Okay, so we're looking for a book that has a specific location, city, or something in the title. Usually I have a couple of options for each prompt, but oh, this one is not jumping out at me. All right, so I have literally no books on my TBR that have like a place in the title. So what I'm gonna do instead is kind of like a location. So like this one would be Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune. So like C is the location, right? We'll count that. I just bought this book recently from a bookstore because I've been dying to get my hands on a copy. I love the beautiful sprayed edges and the cover. This is the sequel to The House in the Cerulean Sea, which is probably one of my top 5 books of all time. And in the sequel, we get more of Arthur's story. So we kind of are taken back to this island where Arthur lives with Linus and his orphans who they have adopted. And something happens from Arthur's past that's kind of come back to haunt him. So we know he has this kind of big, dark secret. And we find out more about that in this one. There's also a new magical child that needs a home, and this child is unlike anything that they've ever seen before, and it kind of threatens to disrupt this family that they've created there. But I'm very eager to see where their story goes. This is just like typical, like heartwarming, found family, full of love and hope and all the good feelings. So this one's a top contender. The other one that's sticking out to me is The River by Peter Heller. So again, river, that can be a location. I've had this one for a long time and I keep meaning to read it because I've heard such good things about it. It's a mystery and it's a story about 2 college friends on a wilderness canoe trip. And something happens with like a man and a woman that they hear arguing on the side of the riverbank. Next day, the man's alone and they're not sure like what happened to the woman. So it's kind of it's described as a heart-pounding tale of desperate wilderness survival. So, I mean, it's not even that long. It's like a shorter book. And it's one that I just keep meaning to read, but just haven't got to yet. So between these 2 choices, this is tough because I feel like my heart wants to pick this one, but my head says that I should pick this one because it's been on my shelf for longer. So I think I'm gonna go with The River. It's a shorter book, which always helps. It's only like less than 250 pages. So I think this will be a good one to fit in November. All right, let's check out prompt number 2. All right, my second TBR prompt for November is a book about books or reading. I was really excited to put that prompt in there because I always love books that like take place in the publishing world or about books or libraries or authors. So let's see what I have. Okay, this is one that I've started reading already, but I just really need to finish. And it's called Book of the Month by Jennifer Probst. And I think this is gonna be my choice, hands down, no matter what, because as you can see, I'm already like quarter or halfway through and I just need to finish this book. It's about an author who published a bestseller based on a heartbreaking experience that she had earlier in her life. And the book became like an instant sensation because there was so much emotion poured into it. But she has since written 2 books that didn't do nearly as well. So she's basically trying to like recreate an enormous heartbreak so that she can write another bestseller. So she enlists the help of the local like heartthrob in the town where she's visiting. It's in the Outer Banks, so it's kind of got a beachy setting as well. But he's kind of reluctant to like get involved with her. So she agrees to a deal with him where he will help her out with kind of falling in love and then breaking her heart, and she's going to help out his small business in return. This has been good so far. It's also like steamier than I expected, which is kind of a fun aspect. So again, I'm enjoying it. I just need to kind of finish it. And then let's pull the last one that I'm going to do for my TBR jar for November. Okay, this is a book with a great first sentence. Ooh, that could take a little bit of time to find. Let me sort through a couple of these and see what I can come up with. Okay, I'm gonna choose between these two, which are Red String Theory by Lauren Kung Jensen and Christmas with the Queen by Hazel Gaynor and Heather Webb. So we've got kind of a Christmas romance versus like a Lunar New Year romance. All right, so starting with Christmas with the Queen, the first line in this book says, December arrives with a blanket of thick fog and a flurry of activity as the staff begin their preparations for Christmas. So nothing like earth-shattering about that, but it definitely sets the tone for like a cozy romance, and that's exactly what I'm craving this time of year. This book, I actually won from a Goodreads giveaway, which is shocking in itself, but it follows two people who are working at the Sandringham estate in like the 1950s. So Queen Elizabeth II is there for her stay during Christmas, and we've got a young reporter named Olive, who's also a single mom, who is covering the celebrations, and she is friends with one of the chefs there named Jack. So it kind of follows their friendship and what turns into a friends to lovers relationship over the next 5 years. I feel like this is just kind of a neat historical take on the Christmas romance trope, and if you are in love with the royals, this would be a neat insight into kind of what it's like to be at Sandringham for the holidays. The other option is Red String Theory, and the first line of this book is, I've always thought of Washington Square Park in New York City as a place where people say goodbye. So that sets off an interesting tone for a romance, obviously, and I'm definitely intrigued by this one as well. Between the two of these, I think I'm going to pick Christmas with the Queen just because it's got a little bit more of the holiday vibes that I'm looking for, and I haven't picked any other Christmas books yet, so I'm going to give this one a try. Let me know in the comments which of these you would have picked, or if there's any other books on here that you see that I definitely need to read. And make sure you hit subscribe so that you can see all of these TBR videos in the future and find out what I think about these books when I read them.